Hey everybody, Hunter back again from Showtime Studios. Going to be working on part number 8 of the super detailing a dash. And I went ahead and shot a small coat of clear across this to seal all the work that we've done in the previous videos. I got all that sealed down, and I actually used the one coat lacquer clear from Testors. That's one of my favorite go-to items. It dries real quick. It works real well. And we'll hold the dash up here, and I'll show you what it looks like right now. And the other thing that I did is I went ahead and masked off one side of the dash. And that's what we'll be covering in this video, is how to mask off what we've already done. And this is what it looks like now with the clear coat on it. And you can see how crisp and clean everything is. It's coming out pretty good. Real happy with it so far. And as you can see on that side there, we have that masked off with bare metal foil. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. I'm going to show you how I go about doing that. And one of the reasons I like to use the bare metal foil on something like this is because where the raised wood graining pattern is in the kit plastic, masking tape a lot of times will not keep the paint from bleeding, especially when you have these little raised areas around the detail. So going in with the bare metal foil and sealing it down works very well for this, even though I am using an airbrush. You know, you could probably get by with using tape, but I highly recommend to use the bare metal foil. You spend a lot of time doing, if you're following along with the steps that we've done in the video so far, you spent a lot of time to get to this point, so I would hate to see somebody, you know, use masking tape, or especially cheap masking tape, and spray the dash and then ruin the detail that they've already done. So bare metal foil is my recommendation on this. Some people may not agree with that. That's fine. That's the way that I do it here, and it works for me, so that's what I'm going to do in the tutorial. So we'll pan the camera down and we'll get started on how I mask this off with bare metal foil. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit closer here, because we really don't have a whole lot of supplies that we're using. Of course, you're going to have your dash that you're doing, and I've already pre-cut a oversized piece of just aluminum bare metal foil. And believe it or not, what I do a lot of times, a lot of people will say that this is a waste of money doing this with the bare metal foil because it is expensive, and to a certain extent that is true. So what I tend to do is I have a lot of bare metal foil in chrome and the you know, bright chrome and the aluminum and stuff like that. And as that stuff gets some age on it, it starts going bad and getting some cracks and things in it. So that is what I use for masking. This one here, this piece here is not too bad. This one here was really cracked up. But the sheet that I'm cutting these out of, I'll show it to you there. You can see the cracks and the bubbles and stuff that's getting in that bare metal foil. Now, when it starts getting to this point, I can do small things and use it out of an area like right here where there's no bubbles, and right in this area. But if I was doing something where I needed a bigger strip of it, I can't do that because the bare metal foil is going to have wrinkles in it, and it's just not going to lay down the way I want it to. So I just keep some of this older stuff around, and I use it for masking. So what we're going to do, well, other than that, you're going to need a Q-tip. I do have a bare metal foil video that I did back in the archives. So if you want to refer to that, that's basically the same thing we're doing here. But we're going to be using a Q-tip, and I have one of the Tamiya cotton swabs, the fine point ones. We'll be using that, and I have the X-Acto knife with a brand new number 11 blade in it, which is a necessity. Always make sure when you're doing bare metal foil you have a brand new sharp blade. And like on this one here, we taped off this side with the bare metal foil, and I've cut that out. Once that was cut, I went ahead and changed the blade to do this side over here. So all you're going to do is just basically have a piece of bare metal foil that's oversized, bigger than the area that you're taping off. And we're going to come in and just lightly stick that down onto the dash. And the one thing that I do not do with this bare metal foil is through the center of it here, I don't burnish that down real well. I just kind of leave some air trapped underneath of it. The main part that you want to burnish down is just around the edges, in about the width of this Tamiya pointed cotton swab. And that way it's a little bit easier to get this back off once you've done all your painting. So I'll just press that down with my finger, working from the center out to the edges. And of course on this dash you have the raised detail, the raised bead around the edges, so you got to do a couple little cuts here to make sure everything goes into place the way you want it to. So I'm going to go with my full-size cotton swab, and I'm going to go ahead and find this lower edge here. And once you see that straight line right there, you found the lower edge. And then I'll use this Tamiya cotton swab, which is actually a little bit stiffer. And you can push the bare metal foil right against that lower edge of that raised detail down there. So we have that part, and now I'm going to go ahead and work on this top section up here. And that's where we're pushing it up toward the raised detail around the top, this curved section. And I'm not coming, when I burnish this down, I'm not going all the way to the verticals, to the very corners. And I'll show you why here in just a minute. But we're just going to work this up to the line that's the raised detail right above the gauges. And smooth that down. And like I say, I'm not going all the way to the corner where the vertical starts. And now we have that burnished down. And then I'm just going to pick up on this side over here, and I'm going to pull it up off of the raised part of the dash, which is right here. I'm just going to pull the bare metal foil up and away from that so the glue is not sticking to this upper part. And then that way you can come in and work the bare metal foil slowly over to the edge that you're looking for. And once I see the bare metal foil starting to fold back on top itself, I'll take the knife in these corners and just make a couple relief cuts to take the pressure off of it. And then go ahead and finish taking it all the way to that raised line with the Tamiya cotton swab. And when you're done, it should look something like that right there. You can see the clean line all the way around it and also at the bottom. So now we're going to move on to this side here. We're just going to pull the bare metal foil up and make sure that we have it off of this raised detail. And then we're just going to work it back over to that raised detail with the Tamiya Q-tip or cotton swab or whatever you want to call it. And go back in and relieve the corners a little bit to take some of the pressure off the bare metal foil to make sure that it flows around the corner without wrinkling up on you. Bare metal foil down. Now you'll notice that we didn't burnish down through the center here over top of the gauges, and that's because it just makes it a whole lot easier to get. Once you've got this dash painted and you go to unmask everything. So now we're just going to lay the number 11 blade down in here. We're going to follow this straight line at the bottom from side to side. And we're just going to cut this excess up here. And then we'll come in and start peeling that section away. Then once I get that cut, I will come back in with my cotton swab and go ahead and burnish that down one more time right there where we cut it, just to make sure that it's down and sealed real nice. And now we're just going to finish doing the cuts around the rest of the raised detail here. And this is one of those things you just want to take your time and kind of let the knife blade flow. Don't get in no hurry with this. And having this raised detail makes it a lot easier for the blade to follow along that edge. And then after we get that cut, we're just going to come back in and start pulling the excess bare metal foil off. And sometimes we'll have to take the knife and lift it up to get underneath the edge of it to get something to hold on to. Some people will take this off with tweezers. I tend to like to use my fingers to pull this, but sometimes you need the tweezers, so that's another tool that you should have handy if you're doing bare metal foil work, whether you're masking with it or actually using it for simulating chrome or a steel finish. Alright, we have all the excess bare metal foil off, so we're just going to come back in and burnish the edge down. And at this point, you just want to check and make sure that, you know, you have a nice clean edge all the way around. If not, go back in and trim it a little bit more just to make it nice and clean. And even if you were using a spray can at this point right now, as long as you didn't do a real heavy coat, you would not have any issues with bleed under. So we'll hold it up here, and that's what it looks like with it all masked off. Now all of our work that we've put into it up to this point is sealed, and this dash is ready to be sprayed. So I'm going to go ahead and pan the camera back up here because that's all we're doing for this step. So like I say, that's where we're at now. We have it masked off. This is ready to be painted. And for anybody that, you know, that's following along, this is what it should look like. And now you'll just move on to using whatever paint that you choose. It's, you know, lacquer, enamel, acrylic, it doesn't really matter. And get the dash painted. And once all that is done, then we will go back in and do the final detailing and the final finish work. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do a video on the painting part of it. I'm actually going to be using some Tamiya acrylic and be spraying it with the airbrush. And like I say, it's probably going to be a red tone, a little bit darker red. And we're just going to spray it, leave it as is, and then I'll unmask this. And in the next video, we'll go ahead and go back and do the little vents up on top here. And we'll also be doing some touch-up on the detail work that we did on the wood grain and the gauges and all that. And that'll be part, let's see, what part will that be? That'll be part 9. So we should finish this up by either part 9 or 10. And hopefully you have something that looks very similar to this. And like I say, I've seen Rick Zink do some experimenting with it. I haven't seen anybody else do a video yet. So, you know, if you're following along and or later on down the road and you decide to do this, definitely put up a video and let me know. And I'd like to see how your, you know, how your dash came out if you followed this technique. So that's about all we've got for this video. Stay tuned for the next one coming up. It'll probably be tomorrow evening on the finished detailing on this dash. So until then, I'd like to thank everybody for watching and supporting Showtime Studios, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.